Deadline 2020, getting rid of breast cancer by 2020. I love the idea. And now there's a group that's got the knowledge and the vision and the focus that they believe they can make it happen. Let's tell you more about this. We welcome in Lori Seawel. Lori, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
Okay, we've got a lot to cover here. Let's start with the facts.
Okay.
Breast cancer it affects so many families. I'm not sure there is one that has not been directly affected. I've got one in my family, just, that went through surgery last week, is doing great. But the diagnosis not that long ago, and it was pretty new. And, that just happens every day.
It does. My mom is a 24-year survivor, and I myself am a 2-year survivor. And you're right. Most people we talk to, if they don't have someone directly in their family, they do have friends or someone else that they know that has been affected by breast cancer.
So the place where we begin for many is on the prevention side. But we urge people to do the preventive exams and get in and do those things. But now you're saying there may be some things even further ahead of that.
Well, awareness is important, and we don't want to take away from that. But awareness doesn't save lives. It doesn't prevent breast cancer. So that's what Breast Cancer Deadline 2020 is all about. And this is a project of the National Breast Cancer Coalition. They're out of Washington, D.C., and they have come up with essentially what is a strategic plan to end breast cancer to know how to end breast cancer by January 1, 2020.
We've talked on this program about the tens of thousands of deaths that we see each year around the United States with this. In fact, this year, more than 425,000 women worldwide will die of breast cancer. United States, almost 40,000. But based on the fact that this National Breast Cancer Coalition has been around over 20 years and is now coming forward with this, it tells me that there's something new. And I want to get to that in just a moment. Lori's background, as she mentioned, is as a survivor. You're also a very strong advocate. You are on the board of directors with the National Breast Cancer Coalition, and locally with Beyond Pink Team. Folks, did you hear that again? Beyond Pink Team. Here they are again. You guys are everywhere. You're a force that is working for people that have been in the room when they got that diagnosis. You have cancer.
That's correct. The Beyond Pink Team is, a local organization. A lot of people do support the Beyond Pink Team, provide funding for the Beyond Pink Team to extend services to men and women in the greater Cedar Valley. And we assist by providing grants for people who might be struggling financially because they might not be able to work because of a diagnosis of breast cancer, or perhaps they're just not able to pay their bills, or maybe they don't have good enough insurance to pay all their bills. So that's how the Beyond Pink Team can step in. That's one way. We also have support groups, and we reach out to women and men to join those support groups to help them out, not only if they themselves are going through a difficult time with breast cancer, but also, to caregivers who might be struggling with someone in their family that has breast cancer.
Yeah, there's so much you don't hear about. When our conversation with people who have the diagnosis of cancer, we hear about a lot of the medical side, but we don't hear about all the other junk that goes on that isn't part of when you're in a doctor's office or a clinic or the hospital. There's stuff about, how do I get to these treatments? How do I take time off? I've still got children to care of. I've still got house payments to make.
True, and even just the way that it affects you psychologically, it pulls you away from what's normal in life, and it really does change your life, and it does make you start to look at life differently. And for me, it was, a matter of being away from work for almost 3 months. And then to get back into work, that's kind of weird to have to go back to work after all that. So to have that kind of support, it's important for us to be able to open up and talk to people who can relate to that.
That was my next question for you. When I've talked to the people from the Beyond Pink Team, so many of them have been on that journey that you're still going through 2 years out. What did that mean to you to be there with somebody who had been there and done that and come out the other side?
Well, it shows you that there's a lot to live for. You know, it gave me something to work toward, to give back, and to help other people who might be going through that struggle. And really, the most important thing for me, and the reason that Breast Cancer Deadline 2020 is so important to me, is I don't want to see my kids, my grandkids, friends, I don't want to see other people go through what I have gone through, or even more so what many other women have gone through that have had an even greater struggle than myself.
Lori Seawel is our guest here, breast cancer survivor and also a strong advocate, including with this Deadline 2020. We talk about Breast Cancer Deadline 2020 in that its one mission is to end breast cancer. What does that mean?
Well, it's really to know how to end breast cancer by January 2020. And what the National Breast Cancer Coalition has done is they have brought together all the key stakeholders. So we're talking about scientists, researchers, advocates, survivors, policymakers, just creative out-of-the-box thinkers, and brought all these people together, sat them down at the table, and look at a business model where they have come up with a strategic plan to figure out how to accelerate research and accelerate bringing an end to breast cancer.
What does it take that's different than what we're doing now? Are we duplicating things? Are we not being as efficient, perhaps, as we could with resources?
That's true, yes. What we're really trying to do through the Breast Cancer Deadline 2020 is leverage the nation's resources, to leverage what's already being spent on breast cancer research, to encourage researchers to collaborate instead of working in their separate silos, to share the information that they learn and discover, and to really start to put their heads together and look at what each other are doing so that we can promote the end of breast cancer and more quickly reach that end.
Okay. So you fold all that together, and now you've got a blueprint of how we get there. And it's got a really cool name, too. Share that with the folks.
The name is the Artemis Project.
Artemis. I like that.
Yeah, the Artemis Project really has two areas that they're focusing on. The first area would be the primary prevention of breast cancer in the first place, and the second area would be the prevention of metastasis or the spread of breast cancer. They've awarded 2 seed grants that are looking at coming up with a preventative vaccine. Scientists have told us that they think they can have one in clinical trials within 2 years.
I need to stop you right there.
Okay.
Well, let's back up and just repeat that last 5 seconds again. You said a possible vaccine.
That's correct.
In 2 years.
That's what they're hoping.
I know they wouldn't say that if they didn't really believe that they could do that.
And I've heard it myself because we do have opportunities through the National Breast Cancer Coalition to actually meet and talk with scientists who are doing the research. And I've heard them say that they hope that they can have a vaccine within 2 years.
My goodness. That's almost like science fiction, isn't it?
It is. It's exciting news.
Is there anything else? I mean, we're looking at legislation, we're looking at money, we're looking at all those different things that are challenges that you have moving forward. What do you see as the ones that can be addressed by this type of gathering together under the Artemis Project and all the other initiatives here?
Well, some of the ways that we at the grassroots level are approaching Breast Cancer Deadline 2020 is we're really trying to change the conversation. We're trying to, to get that focus to start to look at prevention and to look at the science and not just to focus on awareness. So we have been involved with getting signatures for a presidential petition. We are currently out there trying to get declarations of support from public officials.
Right.
The mayors from Waterloo and Cedar Falls, for example, have both signed on. Many of our local legislators, as well as Iowa's national congressmen, have all been very supportive of Breast Cancer Deadline 2020. So we're also looking to get organizational endorsements. We've got survivors and advocates out there reaching out to all kinds of public officials, both locally and nationally.
Okay, well, that's great to hear. Now, we pulled together a couple of different worlds. One is the world of firsthand experience and emotion that you've got. And then your other world is that structured technical background that you have working in information technology at the University of Northern Iowa. It's an interesting, I guess, marriage of those two different abstract and yet emotional worlds. There's the science side of you, right?
That's correct.
And now you're on the other side of the hope, of attitude, support. Did you ever think you would have quite that intense of a coming together?
No, it really is a bit of a surprise to me to be involved with anything, that's out there, especially like lobbying with Congress. I never would have guessed I would do that. But, things have fallen into place. It's funny how life leads you into certain directions that you never anticipated.
Please keep us up to date with what you find out. I know there's a survivorship thing happening in a couple weeks, too, that Covenant's putting on, too.
That's right, a conference.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much for sharing this. Deadline 2020.
Thank you, Gary.
All right, great to see you, Lori. Lori Seawel here on News Talk 1540 KXEL.